want to start over?
Would be like she's not.
Okay, so y'all lived at your grandparents' house, and that was on your mom's side.
Mom, why'd you turn it down?
I was just listening to Papa talk.
So, yeah, we lived north of Kennedy, about 4 miles, out in the country. Like I said, my parents purchased the home place of my mom's. It was about 115 acres. We had probably 40 acres of farming land. The rest of it was timber. And the old home place was a real old style home that was had a hallway down the middle of it. It had 2 bedrooms on one side, which was the side that my parents and my sister lived in. And the other side was my grandparents lived on that side, and well, we did have one room. They had a bedroom near the kitchen. They were next to the kitchen.
So there were 3 bedrooms?
Well, actually, the other room was where we had our TV and a couch and kind of a living room area type. But we had a fireplace. My grandparents in their room had a wooden fireplace, and we had a wooden fireplace in the other side of the house. And
So it was kind of like a duplex, are you saying?
well, yeah, with the hallways splitting the two sides of the house.
But your parents had a bedroom, and then you and Wanda, did y'all have to share a bedroom?
Yeah, there was a little small room next to it. And then like I said, it didn't have any indoor plumbing. We had a outhouse, and we had a well that we drew water. And I remember my grandmother washing clothes in a tub and rubboard, what'd you call it?
Washboard.
Washboard by hand. We had grew all our vegetables, and then in the winter they would can the vegetables to eat for the winter. The meat, we had when they'd kill a hog or beef, they would take the meat from the hog and put salt and cure it and put it in what we called a smokehouse, this little building where we stored our meat. And had a barn, old-fashioned, actual log-style built barn. I remember it had a hallway, and then one side was where we stored the hay and the things like that, and corn. And also the other side was where we had stalls had 2 mules. My grandfather had 2 mules, and we had horse. We'd gotten a horse, and we had some cows and
Didn't you say
calves.
the horse was wild, like you said you used to have to jump on it from the side of a building?
Yeah, I don't remember. I think that was a different horse. I think that was later. I think the first horse was not that wild. But yeah, the second horse that Dad got was a stallion that was mean. He'd back his ears, and if you tried to ride him,
Why'd he get a mean horse?
I don't know, but you know, Dad he had control of him. He wouldn't let him get out of hand. But when he acted up, Dad would get him back in line.
How?
Well, I remember one time I went to get on. I had the saddle, and he was out there grazing, and I went to get on him, and he kind of charged me a little bit. And Dad went over and had a 2 before, and when he tried to come towards my dad, he took him on the side of the neck with
Oh,
that
my
2
goodness.
before. That horse straightened up. There wasn't any problem after that. So you gotta let him know who's boss. But anyway, we had chickens and cows, we milked cows. I remember my dad, he told the story several times. I was pretty young, I don't remember, 8 or 10 years old, but Dad went to had this cow that when you try to milk it, it'd kick and kick at you with its back foot. It didn't want you milking it. It was in there, Dad was trying to milk it. And he got mad and he was whipping that cow. And that cow, there was a stairway that went up to the loft where we kept hay. And that cow was trying to go up that loft, up those stairs. And I said, Dad, don't you think he's had enough? he used to tell that story, I about it all the time. He told him not to whip up on the cow. Anyway, like I said, I remember we plowed with the mules, and
Can I ask you about the milk? Did y'all drink it unpasteurized?
oh yeah, sure did.
That's more healthy.
And we they made butter. They had what they call a churn, big,
Yeah.
about,
I know what those are.
and you just took the stick and you kept doing it till you made butter out of it, and that's how they made the butter. I can see my grandmother doing that now, churning. And like I said, had 3 meals a day. Good old country cooking, still miss it. Homegrown vegetables. And my favorite meal was all the different vegetables. We used to grow, I always liked butter beans a lot. Fried okra was my favorite. We grew English peas, which I liked a lot. And purple hull peas, that was really enjoyable. Corn, and my grandmother made cornbread, and they would fry chicken. We had chickens that we would actually, kill them and cook them. And that was my favorite meal, with some of her good old desserts, cakes. She always had a homemade cake on the table, and that's where I got my sweet tooth. Still have it today. Hard to get rid of. But anyway, we had really good eating.
Did your mom cook with your grandmother in the kitchen?
Oh yeah, Mom, after we moved in, Mom started cooking. And like I said, we had this, grandmother had this big old wooden stove. It was huge. And my job was to bring in the wood every day and put in the box for her to cook. And the chores was to, I did milk cows. I learned how to milk a cow. And gathering eggs, taking what we call it a slop out to the pigs, feeding the pigs. Just help feed the animals.
What was Wanda's chores?
That's a good question. I don't remember her. She'll have to tell you different, I guess, but I think she helped out in the house. I don't remember. She may have helped there. One of my chores was later on was my mom like working outside with flowers, and our yard kept getting bigger and bigger with grass, and we had a little push mower, and I bet you we had more than an acre of yard to mow. That was my job, to mow that yard with that push mower. So I got to the point where I said if I ever had a house, it don't have nothing but concrete around, no grass at all. And we had these 2 big old huge, 3 of them actually, oak trees, 2 of them in the front and 1 in the backyard, but near the well. The oak trees, they had these huge amount of leaves every year would fall off during the winter, and that was another big job, raking those leaves. And those two outdoor jobs that I guess I got to the point as a kid, not wanting to do other things and play other than didn't enjoy doing. But
How did you play? What kind of things did you do?
mostly outside. I remember I always loved sports, all types of sports. Baseball,
We
basketball.
got sports on our games.
Yeah, I played. I know I had built a basketball there. I spent a lot of time shooting baskets, and when the other kids would come over, we would play football and baseball.
So you didn't play things like marbles and...
Oh, yeah, I had marbles. Yeah, I played marbles a lot. As I got older, hunting became a hobby.
You like to hunt?
When I was a kid, that was just a thing. When you live in the country, honey, you went out and you killed squirrels and things to eat. I mean, that's the way it was. But my grandfather gave me my first gun, which was a single barrel 410, the little 410 shotgun. It was the most awesome little gun. And we went out bird hunting. He carried me out bird hunting for quail one day, and we got up this covey of quails, and I thought, I'll never know this day, my grandfather probably, actually we both shot, but I thought I picked off his lead bird. It was at that age, but I shot that bird. To this day, I don't know if my grandfather was actually the one that shot it, but really loved that little 410. And I heard the other day, I'm not in the guns anymore. Now they make a 410 pistol, which makes a lot of sense, because that gun was no kick to it at all. So anyway, but I had BB guns, and I enjoyed the BB gun a lot. I got that. I remember that was one of my favorite Christmas things I got. It was black, it was just beautiful, and I just got where I could really, I could just strike a match in the yard, sitting on the porch with it. But
What was Christmas like at your house?
oh, it was great. I remember the first bicycle I got. It was seeing it by the tree. It was just awesome. And like I say, I guess the BB gun, those are my two favorite things I got for Christmas. But like I said at the beginning, we didn't have indoor water or indoor bathroom, but my parents took the old home, which like I said, it was just a really old country style. The wood was the old type wood you'd see out on our old home now. But my parents took it and just totally remodeled it, spent a lot of money, I'm sure, on it. They put, enclosed that hallway that originally was there, and outside they put these shingles, white shingles, around the house. Really fixed up the kitchen. It was nice looking after they built the cabinets in there and refloored it. And then, of course, the bathroom, when they built the indoor bathroom, put a pump in the well, and that was an awesome thing, too, to have indoor plumbing. But as a kid, too, we rode the school bus, and the unfortunate part of it was we lived next door to the bus driver. Well, that meant we had to ride the whole route to school, which was about 30 to 45 minute ride. And then the afternoon, we were the last ones to get off. We had to ride it back the other way. So that was the downside of the
So you didn't have to walk to school
we had
barefooted
to walk
in the
to school.
snow?
Well, I remember, and my dad, he raised these boxer dogs, which I really love to this day. He had thoroughbred. I mean, he had papers and everything, and he had some litter from him. We kept, from the original mother dog, we kept a male dog. Duke was his name. Beautiful boxer, just a pretty color, just an awesome dog. And then out of the litter, we had one that was the runt, and it had a hair lip on it, and it also had two sets of teeth.
Two sets of teeth?
Yeah, it had an extra set of teeth.
Huh.
It was hair lip, so it couldn't nurse from the mother. And my mom took it in and would give it a little bottle of milk, and it became an inside dog, which slept with us at night, and it had a little bed where Mom would, she put cover over it because we didn't have heat. We had, and they put butane in the house with heaters, space heaters, so we didn't run the heater at night. We had quilts we'd put on, and the dog would get, she'd put a cover over the dog. Well, if the dog got the cover off, it would come to Mom's side of the bed and wake her up to put the cover back on. Nugent, I think. I don't know where she came up with that name. Something like Nugent. That's not quite right, I don't think. Anyway, that was, wound up being an indoor dog, and Mom's dog, I guess you'd say. Don't remember cats. Probably had that out there. We mostly had dogs. My grandfather had fox dogs, so he used to fox hunt. Fox hunt's an unusual sport. It was there, different, I guess, from England, but they go out at night and listen to the dogs run the fox. That was the deal. He would sit somewhere, and sometimes the dog would get so far off it would be days before it'd get back home. I remember this one dog. This was a true story. He gave one of the fox dogs to his son, which lived 30 miles over near Mississippi from us. And that dog left and came back and made it back to the house.
Wow.
30 miles away.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, but fox dogs, they go a long way when they're out there running a fox.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember feeding the dogs outside on, they would put a little bit of food for, we had 3 or 4, at least 3 or 4 maybe, 5, but we put their little piles out there. Well, always one didn't like his pile, he'd go to the other and they'd wind up fighting. Anyway, that's just some of the things that my childhood, and it was a good one.
What'd your room look like?
Well, it just had a bed and...
Wanda was in there too, right? So there'd be 2 beds.
Yeah, well, a lot of times Wanda would sleep with Mom and I'd sleep with Dad. Because I guess the cold weather and we had cover. We did that.
They had separate beds? Your mom and dad?
Yeah.
Why?
That's just the way it went. We was all in one room, pretty much. We was all went there together. It was probably the reason. Anyway, Mom was really a great mother. She really took care of us, made sure we had, like I said, clean clothes to school. She dressed us really nice. And Dad, he was a wonderful person. He had a good sense of humor. He never met a person he didn't like. He was going to talk to you, no matter if you didn't talk to him, he could start a conversation up. He just never met a stranger, I guess you'd call it. I don't know, but he was really a great dad.
What was your mom's anxieties like? I know you talked about she had anxieties and stuff.
Well, I don't remember that really. She was a worrier. She worried about things.
And she had a fear of water and floods.
Yeah, she did have a fear of water for some reason. Very religious though. Read the Bible every day. And would give you her last nickel.
Now why'd she cut her face out of pictures?
She just didn't like the way she looked in the picture. She just didn't like being pictured, taking pictures as she got older. And my grandmother, like I said, I was about 10. She died in her 60s. And
That was Lily.
and she had this long hair that every night she would comb it out and braid it up. Oh, her habit, I'm pretty sure I'm right. I'm almost, her habit was she dips nut. And, maybe it could have been the reason she died so
Yeah.
early. And my grandfather, he lived to be 94, and he smoked these Ready Roll Country Gem cigarettes that came in a little bag. You had to roll them up in the paper, and apparently didn't have the chemicals they have today. He also, I understand, he'd have a glass of homemade. They had wine. They had grape vineyards where they grew their own, made their own wine. So maybe that was it. He worked hard his whole life. He was the hardest working man you ever seen. He told me stories about when he was a kid that, Christian, can you be quiet a little bit?
Second.
He told stories about when he was a kid. They had cotton. They picked cotton as a kid. I actually picked cotton. We had cotton.
I remember you telling me that.
And he said his dad told him one time, he said, if you pick 400 pounds, I'm going to take you into town and buy you some candy and get a drink. So he got to 400 pounds. They took him into town like he told him. And came back, he said, now son, I want 400 pounds every day that you worked. I'm sure they didn't work on Sunday. He probably worked Saturdays.
Wait, who told who that?
My grandfather's dad
Oh, okay.
told him.
Okay.
So I think that's how they had all the farm. His dad apparently was successful with farming and all, because my grandfather, like I said, was very successful in the neighborhood. He had the first car in the neighborhood, the A model, and T model, I don't know which one it was, one or the other. And he had a lumber business, sawmill, and he farmed a lot of land. He had a lot of property. He did a lot of farming. But unfortunately, when the Depression hit in the 30s, he lost a lot. He had cotton that he was waiting to take to the gin, and the price started dropping, and he held on it like everybody thought it'd come back, and it didn't. Lost a lot there. He lost some money in the bank. After that, he never put any money in the bank. He kept it under his mattress, I think. He didn't trust the bank, and I can't blame him, because he lost quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
So he was a wonderful person to be able to grow up around. He helped me, we cut the timber on the place, on our property one time, and that left the tops, which people cut the pulpwood out of it. And he helped me cut a load of pulpwood out of that timber, which gave me enough money to buy my first baseball glove, which I was really proud of. When you work that hard to get something, you really appreciate it. And then after he lived with us, and that was the deal. I don't know if I said earlier that the property was my parents bought the home place.
But your grandmother passed away in her 60s, but he still lived with y'all for years and years.
Yeah, he did live with one of his sons had problems mentally, and had to be put in a mental institution a few times.
Really?
Yeah, and he lived with him, and I felt so sorry for him, because he was the only one that his son's wife and kids, they left because they just couldn't deal with his mental problems.
Oh.
And my grandfather lived with him a few years, stayed with him. But when he was living with us, up in his 80s, I guess, and 90s, he still walked in town about 4 miles out. We lived 4 miles in the country.
He walked 4 miles?
Yeah, he walked 4 miles into town.
He didn't have a car?
Not at that point, he didn't drive anymore. But he just worked hard his whole life and ate good, and he lived to be 94. Outlived 3 of his kids. But anyway, I guess I had an interesting, now I look back the way things have changed, that I was lucky to actually grow up. My dad, we did some farming on the side. He worked at Public Works, but we had a little tractor, and he would set me up for the day what to do, and I would plow certain fields, which was kind of fun, at that age, 12 years old, driving a tractor. So I was able to learn how to work as a kid, and it was really great the rest of my life because I've always worked. Never bothered me to work since then. I still enjoy working. It's at age 69, I still enjoy working. I couldn't sit around. I'm not one to sit around. My dad was that way. He was either working or sleeping. There was no sitting around watching TV or anything with him. He was very, very hyper. But he had...
What, sweetie? Okay, go ahead when you get done. Let me know.
So...
You told me about your mom's parents. What about your dad's parents?
Yeah, my dad's parents.
What was their names?
My grandfather was Grover, and Grover Land, and my grandmother was, we called her
Pinky.
Pinky. And did I ever come up with her? At this time, I cannot think of what her real name was. Anyway, there was 9 kids on that side of the family, and they lived in Mississippi, and my mom's side lived in Alabama.
Well, how did they meet then?
Okay, let me think. Okay, one of my dad's brother, G.W., somehow, his wife was named Earlene, and I don't know for sure. I know she's told me how. I think it was the connection through his wife and my mom. I'm not 100% sure about that. At this time, I can't remember exactly how they did meet. But the strange thing about it was later on, like I said, G.W. married Earlene, and my dad married Earlene, and I married Elaine, and his son married Elaine. It's kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
But Dad's side of the family, they were farmers, and I think they probably wasn't as well off as my mom's side family. I know my dad, he was the oldest, and he had to quit school, high school, to help out with the rest of the kids. They had 9 kids, and he was the oldest. To help raise the rest of them and work, he had to drop out of school. But he mostly worked public works, and like I said, we had that home place from my mom's side that we did vegetables and things. Grew some corn and stuff. We still had a few animals.
You're talking about Grover and...
No, I'm talking about Dad's side. But coming back to my dad's side, he got drafted into the Army, and he served in World War II.
Your grandfather?
No.
Oh, your dad?
My dad. And he saw some rough times. I know it affected him mentally. Mm-hmm. I think it was the one reason, and being the way the guys were in World War II, that to get their mind off things, they became beer drinkers. Mm-hmm. And Dad was a heavy beer drinker when he got out of the service. Got to be a problem with him. It just pretty much became an alcoholic, but he got past that. He joined the church, and he changed his life. But he used to tell stories about seeing his buddies shot right in front of him. He said one time he felt lucky that he survived it. One time he just had this feeling they had foxholes in this area that we're in. It must have really been a dangerous area. Somewhere, I know he served in the Philippines, Manila, somewhere over there. He talked about that. But he got in, he said something just came across him that he went and got in his foxhole. And by the time he got in his foxhole, they got attacked. And about 3 of his buddies died from the attack. He survived it. So I know mentally he had to have, if the way they know now, post-traumatic stress that he probably should have been treated for, and it just was a rough time for him. So
you said how long he was gone? You said you were 14 months old when you came back.
I was 14 months old when he got out of the Army. The first time he'd seen me, I was 14 months old, and he said we'd follow him around and call him Mole.
So you were 14 months old when he first saw you, so your mom and dad were apart for at least 14 months?
Yep.
Over a year your mom didn't have?
Oh, no.
Where'd she live then with you?
She stayed with her, her parents at the home place during that time. And then when Dad got out, he rented a house a mile or so from them out in the country before they wound up going on and buying the home place. But like I said, he was a great dad, and I was very lucky, both parents. But anyway, going back to his side of the family, Grandma Lan and Grandpa Lan, I would stay with them in the summer, go down and stay with them in the summer, and it was quite interesting. They lived in the city, really different from...
In Mississippi?
In Mississippi, Columbus, Mississippi, where I actually was born. And then grew up in Alabama. But just a lot of fun things with them. My grandmother, I used to laugh about how she'd lose things, even her glasses. And one time we couldn't find them anywhere, and we wound up finding them in the refrigerator. But nowadays I can relate to that, how I lose things now. But it was a lot of fun, and we used to sit out on the porch there and watch people come drive by. It was a lot of traffic. And my grandfather, he grew up when they had slaves, and he still, he still had that in him. I know a black would come by and he'd call him a fish head or something. And, it just, his upbringing.
Did he have slaves, or did he grow up in a
His
house?
parents had slaves, I'm sure.
I think I remember researching somebody had slaves on that side of the family.
Yeah, it was in them, I'm sure, on my dad's side.
So they had a plantation?
His side, I don't know. I think he was really a sharecropper. I don't think, and that's why I said that, don't think they were, they were kind of pretty poor. They just farmed, and I think my grandfather grew vegetables and go into town and sell them with some of his income. And of course, they probably raised their own food. But, I went, in my lifetime, I have seen a lot of changes. I've gone through a lot. Like I said...
Can you hold that thought? He's on the... Hold on just a second.
Pop it?
Yeah. Hold on. Change in your life.
Yeah, it's amazing the things I have seen. I know as a kid, we had a phone, and you were on party lines, and you had to get the operator to give you a certain line. And, seeing my first TV, I never had the first TV. I remember how snowy looking it looked. It wasn't very impressive. And I guess the going back to integration and talking about my grandfather, growing up in his childhood with slaves. But when we lived out in the country, I remember my mom said, I was out there in the field with my dad, and he was plowing, and I saw my first black person coming down the road. I'd never seen a black man, and in a wagon. And I ran to the house, and Mom said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "There's a black man coming down." Well, probably then they were a Negro. I think that was the term was used.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what I said then, but that's probably what I said. And I just never seen him. So as I grew up, I grew up in a all-white school, this little town of Kennedy. There was another section where the blacks had their own school.
I know where that school is, by the cemetery.
Yeah, it's up on the hill by the cemetery. And so the whole time in high school, just white school, and then visiting my grandparents in Mississippi, Columbus, the blacks rode in the back of the bus. It was a city bus, came by their house, and we'd ride the bus into town, and it was blacks were in the back. And tell you a quick story there. When I was in the Air Force, I went in Vietnam. I took an R&R in Hawaii, and Don Ho went to see his show, and he asked if anyone was from Columbus, Mississippi, and so I raised my hand, and he told a story that he was stationed there in Columbus, that the air base they still have, and he said when he got on the city buses, they didn't know where to put him, so they put him in the middle of the bus. Being Hawaiian and a darker color. So that was kind of funny, but that was a true story. I was a little embarrassed after he told the story. But anyway, I saw where in restaurants they didn't get to eat in a lot of the restaurants in town, in Columbus there. Restrooms, they had the different restroom. They had a restroom for the black.
And fountains, water fountains.
Water fountains. And then
Was tape or battery.
Yeah,
Okay.
nice, very nice.
All right.
Okay, we're gonna finish up. So you be quiet, we're almost through.
Mm-hmm.
All right, where was I? I was talking about first black that saw in when they put it in school. I know I worked for the city of Columbus reading light meters. Supposed to have got a job also repairing meters. That never happened. But anyway, one of the guys that I worked with, he was a small guy, but really small. He probably good to be 5 feet, just small in size. He had the biggest gun, biggest car, biggest house, and the biggest dog. But anyway, when they went to put, I think it was Medgar Evers they put in Ole Miss, maybe not. I think it was. But anyway, he gonna go up there. Boy, he was, they did have a
Was it a
problem.
white guy or a black
White guy,
guy?
yeah. He gonna go up there, and I think he did go up there when that happened. But also, during that time, I remember George Wallace, governor of Alabama, standing in the doorway trying to block the
Right.
a black being admitted to Alabama. So what a change in my lifetime. Now we got a football team there. They're mostly all black,
Mm-hmm.
and
Black president.
black. And I have now, in my lifetime, I've seen a black president, and also when I was first, I went back to tell you when I seen the first black, but my first encounter of being involved with blacks was in the Air Force. When I went in basic training, there was a black above me in the bunk, one on each side of my bunks, and we ate together, we marched together, we did everything together. And as I got in the Air Force, I worked with some really nice blacks that liked a lot, and, had some good friends that were black. So, quite a change in my lifetime, the things that I've seen, and especially in electronics, what's happening nowadays, electronics with iPhones and iPads and all the things you can do. It's just incredible what I've seen, the improvement in electronics. And so I've had a really interesting life. I've been lucky. I had worked for UPS and was able to take a retirement with them, and had my own business for 7 or 8 years. A recreational place with started with a driving range, and then we added a putt-putt, then we put in a water slide and baseball cages, and
Yeah, it was popular because we got to have parties there.
yeah, we had some nice parties, and I really enjoyed that period. Then I got a job at a golf course as a general manager, and got into PGA and became a PGA member, and really enjoyed that. Been lucky now that I can work at the number 2 ranked golf course in the state of Florida, and teach golf there, and play golf there, live on a golf course, and really life's been good to me. And pretty good health most of my life. Had a couple of years of couple of surgeries, but I enjoy walking and trying to stay in good shape and as good as I can. So I'm lucky. I got wonderful children, and Jenny.
And a great granddaughter.
And I've lived long enough to have a great grandchild, so I can see her. And I've had a good life. I've been able to do a lot of good things I enjoy, and I'm lucky now that I have a job and that I still enjoy, and life's been good to me. Like I said, most of my life I've had really good health and wonderful children.
Thank you.
Jenny's she's very sensitive, wants to always have restore the memories, and that's why we had this. I've enjoyed going over. It's been trying to.
Oh, there'll be much more you'll have to tell me about.
This has been very enjoyable to relive some of the things in my life and let her know what it was like.
But you were telling me about Grover. What was Grover's wife's name?
Pinky was
Pinky.
her nickname. What was her name? You might have to ask Wanda this.
What was her personality like?
Oh, she was fun. She was so much fun. Jolly. She was a big woman. And
She was?
Yeah. And my grandfather, Grover, was a large man.
Huh.
Both of them.
There wasn't a lot of obesity back then.
No, I wouldn't call. He was not obesity. He was just a big guy. I mean, yeah, he got heavy as he got older, and she was pretty heavy too.
Mm-hmm.
They were probably really small when they were young.
Would they pass away of, or how'd they die?
It's a little hard for me to remember. Well, my grandfather, he
And how old were they?
I'm not real sure. I'd say they might have been in their 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were, but my grandfather had high blood pressure, which my dad had, which I would have if I wasn't careful. But they both love salt. They just put salt on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's made me never put salt on anything. Unless it's tomato. I will put salt on the tomato. But what salt's in it, that's what I'm going to eat, whatever
Mm-hmm.
comes with. But anyway, that was his. He had a stroke, and my dad had a stroke from high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So it made me really cautious to try to keep a handle on my blood pressure over the years. But my grandmother, I don't remember she just,
How old were you
Died
when
of
they
old age.
passed away? Were you a kid or?
yeah, apparently was pretty young. I think I had gotten maybe in my teens, early teens, 12, 14, I don't know for sure. Well, that's not right, because I had to go back, because actually after I got out of high school, that's not true. My grandfather died first. And when I got out of high school and got married, I actually lived with my grandmother. Again, went back and lived with her a short period of time before I got my own apartment. So I had to be...
Mom did too?
Yeah, we both did. We lived with grandmother as our first place we lived till I found an apartment. And we moved because I was working for the city and I had made enough money to rent an apartment. But, so grandmother must have died after I was 17, 18 years old, or a few years later. Yeah, she did, because, funny story with her one time, because her and a neighbor, Mrs. Andrews, lived next door. Her husband passed away, so they both, lived by themselves. But when I was living with her, maybe it's after I got my apartment. Anyway, I bought this pink and white convertible Ford, and we put the top down one time. Got her and Mrs. Andrews in the car, and my grandmother wanted to do it. She wanted to ride in it.
Mm-hmm.
So we get them in there and take them right uptown in the middle of town, park right went in the store somewhere right up in the middle of Columbus. And she was a little embarrassed at that point, but she was fun. She was a lot of fun. And I think I was kind of their favorite grandchild, I was told, especially my grandfather on my dad's side.
So it wasn't Wanda.
Well, maybe 1 to 2, but, compared to all the other grandkids you had.
Why is that?
Because I guess I stayed with them more. I stayed with them in the summer. I don't remember the other kids ever staying there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course they were crazy about Dad, because he'd been such a great son to them. But it's funny. I know one time, that's no true story, this same car, the convertible, we didn't have much money then. It didn't make a lot of money. But I remember it might have been $400 a month, but maybe it's a little more now. Went down and got $5 worth of gas at the store now. I thought I was getting $5 worth of gas. And, well, I was pumping away, and I had put the nozzle beside it, didn't put it down in the hole. I looked, and the gas was coming out on the ground.
Oh, man.
But I don't know if I did the whole 5. I probably didn't do the whole 5 gallons.
Huh.
But, you do crazy things.
Yeah.
But, anyway, it was some fun times with them. I remember one time I rode the bus into the grocery store. This was when I was staying with them. I got some groceries for them. And I didn't know how to catch the bus. And I tried to walk back to the house. It wasn't that far, it's probably a couple miles, if that far. And I remember I had the worst time with those, because then it was paper sacks.
Uh-huh.
And I think I had milk. And that milk was getting that sack where it was
Wet.
wet. And I just remember I had a hard time getting back to the house with it, those groceries.
You walked 2 miles with bagged groceries.
Yep. And I mean, when that was milk, I just remember the bag being a problem getting it back.
So what'd their house look like?
It was a nice house. I think their kids helped them buy it. It was a nice house. We lived right across the store from. Just to walk across the street on that side of the street was a store, and that was fun to go in there. And I remember a Coke was a nickel, And it went to 7 cents, and the machine that they ran put the nickel on one side and you put 2 pennies on the other side. And a candy bar was a nickel. And occasionally we'd get a treat. I'm sure the grandparents, Grandma Land, and Porter would give, Grandpa Land would give us a little Coke money or walk across the street. I know later that how that place became a laundromat. It quit being a store. But their house later, after they were gone, and I don't know who had it or who lived in it, if they sold it or what, but it burned down finally, and they put a little kindergarten there where the house was. But yeah, it was a nice house. Had a didn't have air conditioning, but it had this attic fan. And you turn that attic fan on, that was the most amazing thing. I had cool in the house. Sucked the hot air right out of the house. I think they had them up north. Diane was telling me that houses had attic fans there. A big old fan, it was huge. It really had a sound to it. One other thing, my grandmother, she would not eat wild meat. So we had gotten some deer meat, and of course it had been put in vinegar overnight. Didn't have the taste. So we kind of tricked her one time. We cooked it up. It was like a steak. And she ate it. Never knew it was a deer. That was probably terrible to do that there.
Was it ethical reasons? Why did she not want wild meat?
I don't know where that came from. You know, you don't ask questions.
Yeah.
Know what the story is about it, but she would not eat wild meat.
Huh.
Maybe as a kid she had more of it she wanted. I would have probably killed most of the wild food.